The moment Kyle Evans spotted the community center bulletin board, the words, Single Parent Support Group Wednesdays, 7 p.m., jumped out at him like a lifeline in the stormy sea his life had become. 6 months as a solo parent to his 5-year-old daughter, Lily had worn him thin. And the constant juggling of shifts at the auto repair shop, childcare and mounting bills left him desperate for advice, or at the very least, a conversation with another adult who understood. Kyle ran his calloused fingers through his dark brown hair, checking his watch. He was early, but Lily was safely at her grandmother's for the evening, and he had nowhere else to be. The community center was modest but clean, with motivational posters lining the hallway and the smell of coffee wafting from the meeting room. First time, a friendly voice made Kyle turn around. A woman with auburn hair pulled into a casual ponytail stood in the doorway, balancing a tray of homemade cookies in one hand and a folder in the other. That obvious, huh? Kyle smiled, shoving his hands into the pockets of his well-worn jeans. I'm Olivia Andrews, she said, setting down the cookies. Group coordinator and single mom to an 8-year-old tornado named Max. Kyle Evans, he replied, moving to help her arrange chairs in a circle. Dad to Lily, 5 years old and convinced she's secretly a mermaid. Olivia laughed, and Kyle couldn't help but notice how the sound brightened the bland room. She wore simple jeans and a green sweater that matched her eyes, nothing flashy, but there was something about her that radiated warmth. Mermaid phase, huh? Max went through a period where he insisted on wearing a cape everywhere. School, grocery store, doctor's appointments everywhere. As other parents began to filter in, Kyle found himself gravitating toward Olivia. She had an easy way of making everyone feel welcome, introducing newcomers and remembering personal details about the regulars. Nothing about her suggested wealth or privilege. She seemed like any other hardworking single parent, just trying to make it through each day while raising a happy, healthy kid. That first meeting changed everything for Kyle. For 2 hours, he found himself among people who truly understood the unique challenges of raising children alone. When he mentioned his struggles with Lily's recent nightmares following her mother's departure, heads nodded in understanding. When another father talked about the difficulty of maintaining a career while being present for his children, Kyle offered suggestions from his own experience juggling shifts at the garage. As the meeting wound down, Kyle helped stack chairs while Olivia gathered her materials. So what did you think? She asked, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. Honestly, I wish I'd come months ago. It's nice not feeling like I'm the only one drowning sometimes, Olivia smiled. That's exactly why I started the group. Parenting is hard enough with 2 people, doing it solo. She shrugged. Well, you know. Yeah, Kyle nodded. I know. Max has a playdate this weekend at Westside Park, Olivia said casually. Saturday around noon. If Lily likes the outdoors, you both should come. Max would love to meet her. The invitation caught Kyle by surprise. Lily would love that. She's been asking for more friends since we moved here last year. Perfect, Olivia replied, pulling out her phone. Let me get your number just in case plans change. As Kyle walked to his truck, a reliable but aging Ford with nearly 180,000 miles on the odometer, he felt lighter than he had in months. The support group was exactly what he needed, and the prospect of Lily making a new friend was an unexpected bonus. If he was being honest with himself, the thought of seeing Olivia again brought a smile to his face too. Saturday arrived with perfect weather, sunny but not too hot. Kyle helped Lily into a clean t-shirt and her favorite shorts with butterflies on them. Is Max nice? Lily asked, her small face serious as Kyle brushed her blonde hair. I haven't met him yet, but his mom is very nice, so I bet he is too. What if he doesn't like mermaids? Kyle grinned. Then we'll have to teach him how cool mermaids are, won't we? The park was busy with weekend families, but Kyle spotted Olivia immediately. She waved from a picnic blanket spread beneath a large oak tree. Beside her sat a boy with the same auburn hair, intensely focused on building something with sticks. You made it, Olivia smiled as they approached. Max, this is Lily and her dad, Kyle. Max looked up briefly. Do you want to help me build a fort? He asked Lily without preamble. Lily looked at Kyle, who nodded encouragingly. I like mermaids, she announced, as if this were vital information for fort construction. Cool, Max replied. The fort can be underwater. Just like that, the children were absorbed in their own world, gathering twigs and leaves while discussing the logistics of underwater architecture. That was easy, Kyle remarked, settling onto the blanket next to Olivia. Kids are amazing that way, she agreed. Adults could learn a lot from them about making friends. They watched the children play while making easy conversation. Kyle learned that Olivia worked in finance, which she quickly brushed off as boring office stuff. She'd been raising Max alone since her divorce 3 years ago, when her ex-husband had taken a job overseas and gradually lost interest in maintaining a relationship with his son. Kyle shared his own story how Lily's mother had decided parenthood wasn't for her when Lily was just a baby, leaving him to raise their daughter alone while working at Evans Auto Repair, the small shop his father had started decades earlier. It's not easy, Kyle admitted. Business has been slow and childcare costs are killing me, but we make it work. He watched Lily demonstrating her mermaid swim move to an attentive Max. She's worth every struggle. Olivia's eyes softened. You're doing a great job with her, Kyle. That's obvious after spending 5 minutes with you two. Something about the genuine warmth in her voice made Kyle's chest tighten. It had been a long time since anyone had validated his parenting. Most days, he just hoped he wasn't messing up too badly. The afternoon passed quickly with shared sandwiches and juice boxes. When Lily and Max begged to continue their playdate, Olivia suggested they all go for ice cream. My treat, she insisted when Kyle reached for his wallet. Next time, he countered firmly, I can handle ice cream. A flicker of respect crossed Olivia's face as she nodded. Over the next few weeks, Kyle and Lily saw more of Olivia and Max. They became regular fixtures at the Wednesday support group, arranged weekend playdates, and even met for dinner at a kid-friendly pizza place. Kyle found himself looking forward to these meetings more than he cared to admit, and not just because Lily and Max had become inseparable friends. There was something about Olivia that drew him in her intelligence, her easy laughter, the way she really listened when others spoke. She never complained about being a single parent, though Kyle noticed she rarely mentioned specifics about her job or home. He assumed she was being modest or perhaps private. One rainy Saturday, when the planned park outing was canceled, Olivia surprised them by inviting Kyle and Lily to her home instead. Nothing fancy, she said, but Max has been wanting to show Lily his Lego collection. Kyle agreed, jotting down the address she texted him. When he plugged it into his GPS later, he frowned at the screen. The location was in Lakeview Heights, the most exclusive neighborhood in town. Surely there was a mistake. But as he drove through the security gates after being cleared by a guard, Kyle realized there was no error. The houses, or rather, estates, were massive, with manicured lawns and circular driveways. His truck felt increasingly out of place as he navigated through streets with luxury vehicles parked in every driveway. When he reached the address, Kyle sat stunned in his idling truck, staring at the sprawling modern home with its floor-to-ceiling windows and architecturally designed entrance. This couldn't be right. Daddy, is that Max's house? Lily asked from her car seat, eyes wide with excitement. Before Kyle could answer, the front door opened and Olivia emerged, waving casually as if there was nothing unusual about her living in what appeared to be a multi-million-dollar home. You found us, she called. Come on in. Max is about to explode from excitement. Kyle helped Lily out of the truck, his mind racing. Had Olivia remarried someone wealthy? Was she a housekeeper? None of the scenarios he conjured seemed to fit the woman he'd come to know. The interior of the home was even more impressive, open and airy, with tasteful art on the walls and furnishings that looked straight out of a design magazine. Yet it also felt lived in, with children's books stacked on coffee tables and colorful drawings magnetized to the refrigerator. Max immediately dragged Lily upstairs to see his playroom, leaving the adults alone in the kitchen. Would you like coffee? Olivia asked, seemingly oblivious to Kyle's confusion. Or I have tea, soda, pretty much anything. Coffee's great, Kyle managed. Nice place. Olivia glanced around as she prepared 2 mugs. Thanks. It's a bit much for just Max and me, but I love the neighborhood. Great schools, safe for kids to play outside. Kyle nodded, watching as she moved comfortably around the gourmet kitchen. He'd assumed she was like him, getting by, making ends meet, cutting corners where necessary. The Olivia he knew drove a practical SUV, brought homemade snacks to group meetings, and wore simple, casual clothes. Nothing about her had ever suggested this. "So," Kyle said finally, accepting the steaming mug she offered, "you work in finance?" Olivia's eyes met his, and for the first time since they'd met, she looked uncomfortable. Yes, I'm the CEO of Andrews Financial Solutions. My father started the company, and I took over after his retirement." Kyle tried to keep his expression neutral despite his shock. Andrews Financial was one of the largest investment firms in the state, with offices in 3 major cities. He'd driven past their downtown headquarters countless times, never imagining any connection to the down-to-earth woman who shared parenting tips with him at the community center. "That's impressive," he said finally. Olivia set her mug down. "I should have been more upfront about it, She paused, seeming to search for the right words. "When people find out what I do or about." She gestured vaguely at their surroundings. "All this, it changes things. They see the money, not me." Kyle could hear the genuine concern in her voice, but he couldn't deny feeling blindsided. "So you've been hiding it." "Not hiding exactly," Olivia frowned. "Just not leading with it. I joined the support group because I needed exactly what it offers: community, advice, people who understand what it's like to raise a child alone. My financial situation doesn't change the fact that I'm still figuring out how to be both parents to Max." From upstairs came the sound of children's laughter, momentarily breaking the tension. "I get that," Kyle said slowly, "but it feels like you weren't being honest." Olivia's shoulders slumped slightly. "You're right. I wasn't entirely forthcoming, and I'm sorry. It's just refreshing to be treated normally, to be valued for my parenting skills or my cookie recipes instead of my net worth." Kyle understood her reasoning, even as he struggled with the revelation. The woman he'd been growing increasingly attracted to wasn't who he'd thought she was. Or was she? The Olivia who patiently helped Lily overcome her fear of the deep end at the community pool, who remembered how Kyle took his coffee, who shared her own parenting failures without embarrassment. That person seemed genuine. "I don't care about your money, Olivia," he said finally. "But I do care about honesty," she nodded. "Fair enough. Can we start over? Hi, I'm Olivia Andrews, CEO of a financial company, single mom to Max, terrible at miniature golf, and hoping you'll still want to be friends despite my awkward attempt at normalcy." Despite himself, Kyle smiled. Kyle Evans, owner of a struggling auto repair shop, single dad to Lily, surprisingly good at miniature golf, and willing to give honest friendships a chance. The tension eased, though Kyle still felt off balance as they joined the children upstairs. Max's playroom was every child's dream, filled with toys, books, and a custom Lego table where the kids were constructing an elaborate underwater palace. Lily was in heaven, and Kyle couldn't deny that Max was being incredibly generous, insisting that Lily could borrow any toys she wanted. As the afternoon progressed, Kyle observed Olivia with fresh eyes. She was the same person, attentive to the children, easy to talk to, quick to laugh at herself. The only difference was the setting, and perhaps a subtle relaxation in her manner, as if relieved to no longer be maintaining a facade. When it was time to leave, Lily was reluctant to go, but brightened when Max promised to visit her house next time. "Thanks for having us," Kyle said at the door, Lily's hand in his. "Thanks for giving me a second chance," Olivia replied quietly. "Not everyone would." On the drive home, Kyle's mind churned with conflicting thoughts. Part of him felt foolish for not realizing sooner there had been clues, now that he thought about it. The way Olivia always picked up the tab when he wasn't looking, her vague references to work commitments that sometimes took her out of town, her extensive knowledge of financial matters when other parents discussed budgeting at group meetings. Another part of him wondered if anything real could develop between two people from such different worlds. What could he possibly offer someone like Olivia? His small rental house would fit inside her home several times over. He worked with his hands, came home covered in grease, and worried about whether he could afford Lily's school supplies. "Daddy, can Max come sleep at our house sometime?" Lily asked from the back seat. "We'll see, sweetheart. His house is really big, but I like our house better." "It's more cuddly." Kyle smiled at his daughter's assessment. "Cuddly, huh? Yeah, and you're there, so it's the best house." Her simple statement quieted his swirling doubts, at least temporarily. Maybe the differences in their circumstances didn't matter as much as he thought. The following Wednesday, Kyle almost skipped the support group meeting. Pride and uncertainty held him back, but Lily's excitement about seeing Max again ultimately won out. When they arrived, Olivia was already there, setting up chairs as usual. She wore the same casual clothes she always did, her hair in its familiar ponytail, nothing to suggest she was any different from the other parents filing in. But she was different not because of her wealth, Kyle realized, but because of how she handled it. Unlike the few rich people Kyle had encountered through his garage, the ones who treated him like a servant, when he worked on their luxury cars, Olivia wore her privilege lightly, without entitlement or condescension. After the meeting, as the children played with toys in the corner, Olivia approached Kyle. "I was afraid you might not come," she admitted. "Almost didn't," he replied honestly. "I understand." "If you want space, Kyle interrupted. "I was wondering if you'd like to have dinner sometime, just us. No kids, no group, just a real conversation." Surprise and pleasure flashed across Olivia's face. "I'd like that very much." They arranged to meet at a restaurant the following evening, somewhere in the middle, Kyle insisted, not wanting to go to either an expensive place where he'd feel uncomfortable or somewhere too casual for her. When he arrived at the agreed-upon bistro, Kyle found Olivia already seated at a corner table. She'd traded her usual casual wear for a simple blue dress that brought out the green in her eyes. Kyle, wearing the only dress shirt he owned and slacks he hoped were appropriate, felt a momentary panic that he was underdressed. "You look nice," Olivia said as he sat down. "So do you. Different but nice," she laughed. "I do occasionally wear something other than mom jeans and sweaters." Shocking, I know. The tension broken, they fell into easy conversation over dinner. Kyle learned that Olivia had worked her way up through her father's company, starting as an intern during college. She'd married young, a mistake. She called it to a man who initially seemed supportive of her career, but gradually revealed his resentment of her success. "He couldn't handle that I outturned him," she explained. "When he got the offer to work in Singapore, I think he saw it as his chance to regain some control. After a year of him barely communicating with Max, I filed for divorce." Kyle shared his own story more fully, how he'd met Lily's mother when they were both 19, their whirlwind romance that resulted in an unexpected pregnancy, and her growing resentment of the responsibilities of parenthood. "She left when Lily was 8 months old," Kyle said. "Just packed her things one day while I was at work and left a note saying she needed to find herself. Haven't heard from her since." "I'm sorry," Olivia said, her hand briefly touching his across the table. "That must have been terrifying, being suddenly on your own with an infant." "Terrifying is the right word," Kyle agreed. "My mom helped a lot before she moved to Florida for her health. The garage was my dad's, but he passed away right before Lily was born. I was trying to keep the business going, figure out childcare, learn how to be a parent. It was rough." "But you did it," Olivia pointed out. "Lily is amazing, happy, well-adjusted kind. That's because of you." Kyle felt warmth spread through his chest at her words. "Max is pretty great too. You've done well despite everything." "I had advantages," she acknowledged. "Money makes some things easier. I never had to worry about childcare costs or whether I could afford a good school. But it doesn't help with the middle-of-the-night fears, or knowing how to respond when your child is hurting, or figuring out the right balance between discipline and understanding." "That's true," Kyle nodded. "Though I wouldn't mind trading problems just for a month or so," Olivia laughed. "Fair enough." As dinner progressed, Kyle found himself increasingly drawn to Olivia's intelligence, her dry humor, and her obvious dedication to Max. The wealth disparity between them still existed, but it felt less important than their shared experiences as single parents and the genuine connection forming between them. At the end of the evening, Kyle walked Olivia to her car, a luxury vehicle. He now noticed, but not ostentatiously so. "I had a great time," she said, turning to face him in the soft lighting of the parking lot. "So did I," Kyle replied. He hesitated, then added, "I'd like to do it again if you would." Olivia's smile was answer enough, but she said, "Absolutely, though next time it's my turn to pick the place." Kyle grinned. "As long as they don't require a tuxedo, I'm in. Deal." She stood on tiptoe and kissed his cheek, the brief contact sending a pleasant warmth through him. "Good night, Kyle." Over the next few months, Kyle and Olivia navigated the complexities of dating while parenting. They had dinner when childcare allowed, talked on the phone after their children were asleep, and continued attending the support group together. The children, delighted by their parents' growing closeness, often lobbied for joint activities. Some challenges emerged from their different financial situations. Kyle insisted on paying his own way whenever possible, which Olivia respected even when she clearly wanted to treat him. She was careful not to flaunt her wealth, but neither did she hide it anymore. Kyle introduced her to the satisfaction of fixing things with your own hands, teaching her basic car maintenance in his garage one Saturday while the kids helped. Olivia, in turn, showed Kyle how financial planning could ease some of his business stresses, offering advice without making him feel like a charity case. 6 months into their relationship, Kyle invited Olivia and Max to join him and Lily for a weekend at his family's modest cabin by the lake, the one asset his father had left that wasn't tied to the business. "It's nothing fancy," he warned. "One bathroom, bunk beds for the kids, fishing off the dock if you're interested." "Sounds perfect," Olivia assured him. "Max has been asking to learn how to fish." The cabin weekend became a turning point. Away from both their usual environments, in the simple setting of nature, they functioned seamlessly as a family unit. Kyle taught Max to bait a hook, while Olivia and Lily collected interesting rocks along the shoreline. They cooked meals together, played board games by lamplight, and sat on the small dock watching the sunset. On their final evening, after the children had fallen asleep in their bunk beds, Kyle and Olivia sat together on the porch swing, a blanket draped across their laps against the cool night air. "I love it here," Olivia said softly, her head resting against Kyle's shoulder. "It reminds me of camping with my dad when I was little before the business took off. Things were simpler then." Kyle's arm tightened around her. "It's been my favorite place since I was a kid. I was afraid." He paused, afraid of what? That you might find it too rustic, not up to your usual standards. Olivia shifted to look at him. "Kyle Evans, after all this time, do you still think I care about that stuff? This weekend has been one of the best I can remember. Watching you with Max, seeing how patient you are teaching him to fish, and how Lily looks at you like you hang the moon, I've never felt more at home anywhere." The emotion in her voice caught him off guard. "Really, really," she took a deep breath. "I love you, Kyle. Not because of anything you have or don't have. Just you, the way you care for Lily, how hard you work, your integrity, your kindness. Everything that makes you who you are." Kyle felt something shift inside him, a barrier he hadn't even realized he was maintaining. "I love you too, Olivia. I think I have for a long time, but I was afraid that eventually our differences would matter more than our similarities. The only differences that matter are the ones that help us complement each other," she said, taking his hand. "Your practicality balances my occasional extravagance. My financial knowledge helps your business acumen. Together, we're better parents, better people." Under the canopy of stars, with the gentle sound of lake water lapping at the shore, Kyle kissed Olivia, finally free of the doubts that had shadowed their relationship. The following morning, as they packed to leave, the children made an announcement. "We've been talking," Max said seriously, "and we think we should all live together." Kyle and Olivia exchanged surprised glances. "Yeah," Lily added. "Max can be my brother and Olivia can be my mom and Daddy can be Max's dad. That's a big decision," Kyle said carefully. "Well, you love each other, right?" Max pressed. "We heard you talking last night." Olivia's cheeks flushed pink, but she smiled. "Yes, we do love each other." "Then it's easy," Lily declared with the certainty only a 6-year-old could muster. "That's what families do. They live together and love each other." Kyle looked at Olivia, seeing his own emotions reflected in her eyes: love, hope, and the acknowledgement that their children had cut straight to the heart of the matter. "The kids might be onto something," he said softly. "They usually are," Olivia agreed. "Though maybe we should date a little longer before making such a big change." "Definitely," Kyle nodded, then dropped his voice so only she could hear. "But I like where they're heading with this plan." 1 year after their first meeting at the support group, Kyle proposed to Olivia during a return visit to the cabin, with Max and Lily as enthusiastic witnesses. The diamond ring he offered was modest by some standards, purchased with savings he'd carefully set aside, but Olivia declared it perfect as happy tears spilled down her cheeks. They were married in a simple ceremony at the community center where they'd first met, surrounded by friends from the support group and their respective families. Max proudly served as ring bearer while Lily scattered flower petals with dramatic flair. The question of where they would live after marriage prompted lengthy discussions. Kyle was reluctant to move into Olivia's mansion, feeling it would never truly be his home. Olivia understood his hesitation, but worried that her moving into his rental would disrupt Max's schooling and friendships. The solution came unexpectedly when Kyle's largest commercial client, a delivery company that kept their fleet serviced at Evans Auto Repair, offered to buy the business for a generous sum, with the condition that Kyle stay on as managing director. The offer would provide financial security while allowing Kyle to maintain his professional identity and the legacy his father had built. With this new stability, they purchased a new home together, not as extravagant as Olivia's mansion, but considerably more spacious than Kyle's rental. The house featured a room for each child, a large yard for playing, and proximity to excellent schools. Most importantly, it was a fresh start that belonged to all of them equally. Kyle insisted on contributing substantially to their new life together, using his business sale proceeds to fund renovations on the new house and establish college accounts for both children. Olivia, respecting his need for financial partnership, made sure all major decisions were made jointly. 2 years into their marriage, they welcomed twins, a boy and a girl who were adored by their older siblings. Max, now 11, took his role as oldest brother seriously, while 8-year-old Lily delighted in helping with the babies. The single-parent support group remained an important part of their lives, with Kyle and Olivia continuing to attend and eventually co-facilitating sessions. Their story of finding love and creating a blended family, despite their different backgrounds, offered hope to other parents struggling with loneliness and the challenges of raising children alone. On quiet evenings, after the children were asleep, Kyle and Olivia often sat together on their porch swing, much like they had at the cabin years earlier. "Did you ever imagine this would be your life?" Olivia asked one such night, her head resting against his shoulder as they watched fireflies dance across their yard. Kyle thought about the desperate man who had walked into the community center that first evening, weighed down by responsibilities and uncertainty. "Not in my wildest dreams," he admitted. "I was just hoping to figure out how to be a better dad to Lily. I never expected to find a partner, more children, this whole beautiful life. I was hiding behind my work, afraid to let anyone close enough to see the real me," Olivia confessed. "I'm so glad you were stubborn enough to stick around after finding out about my financial situation," Kyle laughed softly. "Well, you make a mean chocolate chip cookie. That was hard to walk away from." She playfully swatted his arm before settling back against him. "Seriously, though. Thank you for seeing me, not my money or my company, just me." "And thank you," Kyle replied, "for seeing value in a grease-stained mechanic with more determination than prospects." "I got the better end of that deal," Olivia insisted. "Our children have the best father imaginable." From inside came the faint sound of a baby's cry. They both stood, hands automatically finding each other's as they moved toward the house. "I've got this one," Kyle said, kissing Olivia softly before heading inside. As he climbed the stairs to comfort his youngest daughter, Kyle reflected on the unexpected journey that had brought him here. A support group for single parents had given him not only the guidance he'd sought, but also a complete family proof that sometimes life's greatest gifts arrive in the most unlikely packages, and that love truly could bridge any difference when built on honesty, respect, and shared values. When he returned to the porch, baby soothed and sleeping again, Olivia was waiting with 2 mugs of tea and that smile that still made his heart skip. Different worlds had collided that first Wednesday evening, but together they had built something new and beautiful, a home where financial status mattered far less than the love that filled every room.